Good morning, guys. Welcome back to Olivia's Blooms. I'm here on this misty August morning and I've just got a few garden chores that I'm going to do while it's nice and cool. This is my favorite time of day to garden. I'm definitely a morning person. So on the list for today is I'm going to harvest my Brussels sprouts and I've probably gonna plant a few cool season crops as well, but the first thing I'm gonna do is harvest flowers. I've got tons of flowers here, and this is the best time to harvest when they're nice and hydrated and it's cool. So we are here in my snapdragon bed, and I've got a mix of these here, but I'm gonna go ahead and get these harvested, and I've got my clean buckets full of water ready to go. I've got my snips, and I have a tote to throw the leaves in. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started on the snapdragons. This is the Maryland plum blossom, and it has been pumping out blooms. Here is Madame Butterfly Cherry Bronze, or Madame Butterfly. And I've got two stems here. And again, I'm just stripping the leaves and putting them in the clean bucket of water. Here we have Potomac Red, beautiful deep red color, going to be perfect in the fall. Now something like this, it's missing some petals here. It looks a little bloomed out. I'm just gonna cut it off and throw it away so that the plant will use its energy and put its energy into some new and better flowers. The other couple varieties of snapdragons that I have blooming right now are these beautiful Potomac apple blossom, and I don't know if you can see the lighter pink. It's similar to the plum blossom but has that lighter pink throat. And then these beautiful Potomac orange that remind me almost of like a sunset. Another quick tip about snapdragons, and you can see it really well with this one. So they are geotropic, similar to like lupins, and what that means is if the stem falls over, it will continue to grow up towards the sun away from gravity. And so if you want really straight stems, you probably should stake your snapdragons. I did not stake mine. I don't mind a little bit of curvature. I think while it can present some challenges to harvesting and getting it to stay in the water, it's also nice to have some of these swooping curved stems to create some movement in arrangements. And so I let some of mine fall over. I might stake a few here and there just to make sure I get some straight blooms, but for the most part I don't stake my snapdragons. All right, there's our snapdragons. Now let's move on to the zinnias and cosmos. Okay, we're over by my deck area, and if you watched my earlier videos, you'll notice I took down the sweet peas. I had harvested all of the sweet pea seeds that I could. I'm trying to figure out if I want to plant something else here for the fall. I was thinking maybe sunflowers, but they may not get enough sun back here behind the blueberry bushes. But this is where I'm growing some dahlias and some zinnias. Again, I have blueberries back here, but because they're so small right now, they're gonna get big, but I'm gonna take advantage of the space that's here now and planted my annuals, and I've got a mix of the queen limes. It looks like I got mostly orange and yellow and maybe a couple blush here, and also some Benari's giant coral. I also have a dahlia back here that I left in the ground and it came back. We're in zone 7A, so they're not supposed to come back here, but once in a while they do. We've been having some warmer winters. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut these that are ready. Beautiful queen lime yellow. Little queen lime orange. And again, you can see I'm doing the wiggle test, so that one's not wobbly, very stiff, ready to harvest. I'm also cutting very deep on these. You can see I'm sacrificing a couple side shoots, but it's been worth it. That's why I'm getting these very, very long stems, and cutting that deep has not prevented the plant from continuing to produce these beautiful flowers. I also have in this bed some monster mixed straw flowers, and they don't look like much right now. I've got yellow and looks like maybe the antique white. They are closed up, which usually happens when it rains or if it's cool or early in the morning, but trust me, when you cut them, they will open up beautifully inside, at least in my experience. And so I'm definitely gonna cut these as well and take them in. I always have a hard decision though with straw flowers. Do I use them fresh or do I dry them? So I think I'll use these fresh. I've got a pretty good stock of straw flowers inside already for drying. I also have some beautiful New Day dahlias, but I have not been on top of protecting or cutting these dahlias in time, so this one is a little bit too far gone. But I have another one that I think will be ready in another day or two. All right, let's move on to another part of the garden. So over here on this side, I planted more Queen Lime zinnias. I've got a Queen Anne's lace that I actually used from forage seed. And I've got a Cosmo here. And again, I'm just jam packing cut flowers anywhere that I have space in the garden. look at the color this Queen Lime Red plant has been producing. I don't know if you can see it well, but it is just this beautiful deep red, antique, almost chocolatey purple color, and I have been in love. I wish I could save the seed and get more of these beauties, but I think the Queen Lime Red has been my favorite from the Queen Lime series this year. A look at the Queen Lime Orange. These like almost sherbety colors. Ugh, I'm in love. Another one of my favorites has been this Queen Lime Blush. And this plant in particular right here has been putting out some almost like antique-y pink petals that I have had so much fun making arrangements with. One of my favorite arrangements actually made with these, and I'll put a picture of it up on the screen, but I think what's been so fun about the Queen Limes is that each plant is sort of unique. And maybe that's just the case with all zinnias, but it's fun because even when you grow the same variety, you end up getting, you know, sort of a rainbow of different looks and colors. And then look at this fluffy beauty. Thank you, Lisa Mason Ziegler from the Gardener's Workshop.com for this gorgeous Cosmo. Now I have down here a, it's a Proven Winners Gomphrena, and this is so pretty, and I'm very tempted every time I walk by to harvest it all and stick it in as just like a fun little pop in a bouquet, but I haven't been getting as many blooms as I was hoping, and so I'm saving these for drying because I've already dried a few and they are gorgeous and they keep that beautiful pink color really well. So this one I'll use maybe fresh, but the rest I'm gonna save for drying. All right, our buckets are getting more and more beautiful by the minute. Let's see what else we have to harvest. I've got a few of these dahlias, and these are, I believe, the Wizard of Oz. And I didn't disbud them, which is a great tip, and I'll put a link down below to what disbudding is and how to do it, but essentially means taking off these side buds right here, so that you can get a nice, long, big, beautiful dahlia stem. I did not get to that, and so I've got these kind of smaller dahlias. They're still pretty, and I'll grab a few, but I think next year I'm gonna focus more on trying to get bigger dahlia blooms and longer stems. Back here I have the Cinderella Peach and Lilac zinnias, and I also have some Prairie Sun Rudbeckia, which I haven't been cutting as much. I've been getting these shorter stems, and I can't get the heads to hold up as well as I'd like in the vase. They tend to flop over, which is not my favorite. So I've mostly just been enjoying them in the landscape. I'm not sure I'm gonna grow these again next year. I think I'm gonna try the Sahara variety, but I've gotten a few here and there. I've also been disappointed in these Cinderella Peach and the Cinderella Lilac. I was hoping for big fluffy blooms, and getting mostly just kind of these flat singles. And again, I don't know if it's the location, because again, these Rudbeckia here, I didn't get great stems off of either, so it might be that the soil in this area isn't great, and I'll continue to amend that. But I think I'll give these one more try, but not the zinnias I was hoping for with these. They're still beautiful and I'll still use them, but I don't know if I'll take up as much room as I did this year with that type of zinnia. Here's a look at the lilac. Same kind of issue. I'm also cutting my first Dusty Miller stem. This is a beautiful silvery foliage filler flower that I planted 4 plants, and again, common theme of this location, not doing great. This is the first stem I've actually gotten off of the plants, and not super long. I mean, it's usable for my purposes, but I was hoping to get a lot more of these by now, especially because I planted them a couple months ago. So hopefully this will start growing more as the weather cools down a little bit. Here we have a couple plants of the Benary's Giant Purple, and I wasn't sure if these were going to get enough sun here, but they have been very happy, and I've gotten long, gorgeous stems off of these. I also happened to plant a couple of the lime here, and these have been really fun to cut. And I found that this deep purpley color has gone really well with a lot of the things I'm growing this year, so these are a great focal flower. Here's a look at the lime. I also have in this area 3 plants of this feverfew, and this seed was from Floret, and I cannot remember the variety exactly off the top of my head, but I'll put it on the screen. And I really struggled to get these to germinate in the spring. I ended up being able to get about 3 or 4 plants to grow, but the good news is that these are perennial in our area, and so I have not been cutting them very much. I think this is maybe like my 4th or 5th stem. I'm trying to make sure just the plants get established, but this is a really great filler and adds like some little bounciness to a bouquet. I also struggled with Cerinthe this year, also known as honeywort, and have not been getting the longest stems and only a few cuts off of these. I also really struggled to get these to germinate, so I'm not sure I will grow these again, although the few that I have gotten are absolutely beautiful. They almost look like succulent foliage, but I think to get the same look, the sedum that I'm growing is a lot easier to grow, especially in the kind of soil I have, and gives the same sort of feel. So I'll probably stick with the sedum for this type of look. Okay, and the last area I'm going to harvest in, we are now across the yard on the other side, is this area, which is really just a mishmash of some cut flower seeds that I started in the spring and kind of threw in here just to have some things to cut off of, because we've got some bigger plants in this area. They will get bigger, they aren't now. So we've got the black diamond crepe myrtle, we've got the dogwood, and a Japanese pine behind me. And so while we have the space, I figured I would throw some more zinnias, cosmos, and some celosia in this area. So let's see what we have to cut today. And again, I mean, look at the colors on these Queen Lime reds. I wish the camera would capture this better. I mean, you've got the deep dark red and then this pinkish rose. I mean, look at this flower. I am in love. I am definitely growing Queen Limes again. Queen Lime red, to be specific. Beautiful. Now here I have some beautiful celosia, and I wanted to show you an example of kind of when you want to try and harvest it versus when it's gone a little bit too far, in my experience at least. So I try and get it when it's still pretty closed, and you can see hopefully this one here, just nice straight, I don't know if these are petals or blooms, but very closed, very clean. Versus this one, which is a shame because it's a beautiful color. It's starting to form seeds, and if you use this in a bouquet, it runs the risk of kind of dropping seeds everywhere. So ideally you want to catch it before it gets to this stage. Even this one you can kind of see is opening up a little bit on the bottom. Versus kind of the top is still closed. So if you can catch it when it's all still closed, that's when I find is the ideal time to grab these. Okay, and the last thing I'm grabbing today is this dark opal basil, which I have loved having, especially because I haven't had a lot of other great filler. And this soil is particularly bad, but the basil has been doing wonderfully. So I'm definitely going to be growing basil as a filler next year. And it's probably hard to see on the camera right now, but it's got this beautiful color of dark purple mixed with like a dark green and these lovely light lavender flowers. Look at that gorgeous color. And another benefit, of course, with basil is the amazing smell. The only problem I've had with basil this year is not the longest stems, and I'm not sure if that's a function of the variety or the location, but I have still managed to use this in tons and tons of bouquets. Again, mine don't need to be as tall as a florist's quality necessarily. And also what I've been doing to keep it growing and blooming is I cut off the bloom stalks and leave the leaves to keep on growing, which is what you'd want to do if you were harvesting it for culinary purposes as well. And I'm not going to strip these because I will strip these inside and take off all these delicious lower leaves and use them in cooking or dry them to use in the winter. Here's a final look at everything we harvested. Oh, isn't it beautiful? And look at how many flowers we got just from an hour, even less. It's worth of work. And I'm gonna get tons and tons of arrangements for my house and to share with others. And we'll make those in another video here soon. Again, this is just one day's worth of harvest from not the biggest yard. You really can pump out a lot of cut flowers in a little bit of space if you do it right. All right, let's get harvesting on the Brussels sprouts.